Good morning. On this crisp, bright winter morning. I am Susan Springstead, a member of the Music and Worship Committee, and this morning I have the pleasure of serving as your worship associate. My husband and I came here 56 years ago, looking for a religious home where the spiritual lives of our four lively and curious children would be cultivated and strengthened, where that elusive best self would be encouraged to develop and to grow. I cannot say they realized this was happening, or that we could have articulated that goal very clearly at the time, but I certainly realized that was what we had done as I watched them carry what they learned here into their adult lives and raise their own families. As for my husband and I, we found a faith sprung from Judeo-Christian roots, but released from dogma and bound by principles to which we have always been committed. We found a faith community that recognized the truth and wisdom of many religions. Here at CUC, we have been cradled, we have been challenged, we have been celebrated, and we have been consoled. If it sounds like something you are looking for, please keep coming back. Ours is an inclusive community. We welcome diversity, whether it comes in the form of spiritual belief, different identities, or forms of expression. We're a community of all ages and consider children and youth an integral part of our faith tradition. We recognize not all ages pay attention in the same way, so we strive to create a service that can be shared between the generations and where each, in our own way, may experience moments of inspiration, moments of hope, moments of consolation, and moments of unexpected renewal. Perhaps you will find such a moment today. If this is your first time visiting, please be sure to sign the guest book, which is up in the front of the sanctuary, and say hello to our welcome host. This morning, they are Denise Adams, Noah Hartman, Natalie Troyer-Kolstead, Olive Troyer-Kolstead, and Jim Caraban. Would you just stand for the moment? Thank you.
Thank you.
If you are visiting online, we invite you too to sign our guest book. You will find a link for it provided in the chat at the bottom of your screen. We thank all those who are making this morning's service possible: our music director, Matt Anderson, our invisible Zoom technicians, whose names I did not get.
I believe it's Phil Sosinsky back there. I don't know who else.
Well, he's invisible, so it probably is Phil Sosinsky. Our aforementioned welcome hosts, and our minister, the Reverend Cornelia, Andrée Cornelia Mall, and all of you who chose to be here this morning. I have 3 announcements, and perhaps while I read them, those of you in the sanctuary will take this moment to silence any cell phones or electric devices. And those joining us online will take a moment to ready their own chalice to light when we light ours in the sanctuary. The soup dinner, following the model of our popular monthly soup lunch, Rev. Andrée has offered a new monthly soup dinner. The next one will be held this coming Wednesday, March 8th at 7 p.m. in the kitchen annex. This is a dinner which provides another opportunity for some of us to gather in a small group and enjoy a homemade soup and discuss our monthly theme together. Also, next Saturday, the New York Opera Forum once again will present one of their programs. This is Wagner's Die Walküre at Acts 1 and 3 here in this sanctuary at March 11th, 2 p.m. The tickets are $25 at the door. If you would like to come, you can, or have questions, you can check with Karen Clements or Carol Hoffman. And now we have an announcement from Quinlan about CFA.
Good morning. As you said, my name is Quinlan Kraft, and as you probably know, over the past 4 weeks, we've been collecting money for the Center for Food Action, collecting money and food for the Center for Food Action. And now that the drive is over, I'd like to share the results. I'm happy to say that we beat our numbers from last year. We collected $1,300 and approximately 25 bags of food. Thank you all for your support. We look forward to continuing this drive the next few years.
And thank you, Quinlan, for all your work in helping make that happen. Hopefully he heard that. I will repeat it later. A couple other announcements. Some of you who may be new to us, we were going to have a new UU class today. Unfortunately, we didn't get enough RSVPs, but I will be having tea in my office, so please join me. Newcomers, regular members, we'll talk a little bit about Unitarian Universalism, our congregation, and beyond. I also want to mention, for those of you that were not here yesterday, we had a historic vote here at CUC. The voting members gathered to see a presentation from our transition team as they put forth a recommended property for us to purchase at 36 Bergen in Westwood. And that vote passed by a very wide margin, similar to the vote to sell this property, and that happened in December. So congratulations to all of us on our new future. I know there's a lot of unanswered questions still, and we will work through that, but I am grateful for all those who have put in so much time, including the transition team. I see a couple of them here, Robin, and who else is here today from the transition team? Dolores and Linda. I think the others are napping this morning. Well-deserved rest. The other thing that we have going on is our stewardship campaign. We kicked off our pledge drive last weekend, and so pledges are coming in. We've also begun sending out invites for the circle gatherings that are part of stewardship. So as we explained last weekend, this time isn't just about pledging, it's about gathering together and talking about what is important for us in our congregation. So all of you who are members should have received an invite to a circle, should begin receiving invites to a circle supper. I know a couple of them have gone out, so please keep an eye on your email, and please respond to the hosts who have graciously agreed to hold these circle suppers on whether they can make it or not. Again, not all of the invites have gone out, but they're starting to go out, so keep an eye out for those. And finally, I would say, I think from talking to the stewardship team, our pledge numbers are really easing in. Usually we get a lot up front, and then there's kind of a tail, and I think it's a little sleepy start this year. Rab, do you have any numbers that you can share with us?
I do, thank you. Thank you. I'm Rab Bell. I'm with the Stewardship Committee, and as Reverend Andrée noted, we're 1 week into this campaign. So far, we've received 28 pledges, which is a little low for our current, for our past performance. $72,000 in pledges toward our goal of $190,000. So, if you are waiting to make your pledge, the question I have for you is, why? Are you waiting for a sign from heaven? Are you waiting for the coming of world peace? Are you waiting for us to finally stop changing things here at Central Unitarian Church? We've made some big financial decisions. We're all aware of them, those of us who've been participating. Pledges are and pledges will remain our number one source of the income that keeps us going every week, every day. So we do encourage you to go ahead and get that pledge in. And if you have seen that email, that invitation to Circle Suppers, and you haven't replied to it again, I have a question for you. Why? These are your friends. They want to gather with you. So you getting a theme here? Getting a theme here? Anyway. We're going to finish this by getting you in the proper mood for that circle supper, that pledging thing, by hearing in recorded form, and I'm sorry, Dolores, you have to see yourself on video, always a painful experience for all of us, telling us about how she feels about the changes that are going on here at Central Unitarian Church.
I think 65 years ago, people of our congregation had to make a decision to move based off of the needs that they saw. So it's our history, and it's becoming our history to think critically about where we're at and to make decisions to move us forward. So it's change, and it feels, like change feels a little rocky, but it's been very carefully thought out, and I think we definitely made the right decision. You get to be a part of creating something, and it is, I would assume the same way that the founders of our current space felt, that they were creating something for what we needed, and there was a sense, I'm sure, of pride and still nervousness, I'm sure, but that they did that, and we benefited from that, right? For so many years, we benefited from that conscious decision to do that, and I hope that as we move forward, that in 65 years, someone will be able to say that about us.
And now let us move more deeply into our time of worship. Turn to those near you and give the person next to you a hearty hello. There is. This is also lit here. The candle there is lit. All right. Okay. Okay. So our service this morning, am I on? I'm on. Our service this morning is all about failure, mistakes, messing up, which, means that we need to get a little messy. So this whole service, in other words, is designed to make mistakes. And so we need to get in that mood, and we need to shake things up a little bit. So instead of opening words, we're doing an opening exercise. So here's how this is going to work. I realize we have all sorts of bodies with different abilities in here to do this exercise, so there's different ways you can do it. If you feel you are able to stand and move around a little bit, this is going to require some shaking of limbs. So if you feel that your balance and standing is good for that, I invite you to stand and move out a little bit to give a little space. For those of you that feel like you would really rather remain seated, please do so. You can move your limbs while you're seated. If we're going to move hands and feet. So if you have a limb that you feel like you can't move, you can replace it by doing the same limb a couple times or wagging your head. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to do something, like I said, we're shaking it up. So we're going to do something called an 8-count shake-up. And this is how it's going to work. We're first going to shake our right arm, then we're going to shake our left arm, then we're going to shake our right foot, and then we're going to shake our left foot. And we're going to start at 8, and then we're going to count all the way down. So it's going to get faster as we go along. So it's going to get messy real quick. Okay, ready? Are you ready? Yes. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is really hard to do in heels. 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Hey, we did it! We're now going to start all worship service with calisthenics. Let us bring this energy, this messiness, into our service today. And now we will light our chalice.
Please join me in saying the words that remind us why we begin our service by lighting a chalice. You will find them in the order of service or on the screen. We light this chalice to remind us of our dreams, to nourish our heart, mind, and spirit, to work towards a better world for all, to embrace the whole of our human experience, to honor our past, our gifts of the present, to create a community where each of us may find transformation and hope.
And please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. After we pause this recording.
I think 60.
Thank you, Phil. We know you were juggling a lot back there. All right, here we go. We're going to have a story, but I'm going to need a couple volunteers to help out with the story. Anybody, all ages, are willing to come on up. Come on up. I need like 10 people up here, so come on up. Yes, please. All right, we've got a couple brave volunteers. Come on up. I need a few more people. We're just going to form a little bit of a line here. So I've asked you all to come up here today to help me tell the story for all ages. Do you know what the story's about? Great, because neither do I. We're going to make up the story together. So here's how this is going to work. I've got a microphone, and I'm going to start with the phrase, once upon a time, and I'm going to hand the microphone to Elizabeth. And Elizabeth is going to say the first word that pops to her mind, Then hand the microphone over. You're going to say the first word you think of. They hand it over. You're going to say the first word you think of, all the way down the line. And then when we get to Steve, and he said his word, he's going to hand it back. And that's, you're going to say a word again, and then, so we're going to go, we're just going to do this back and forth as we tell a story, and we have no idea what this story's even going to be. The trick here, for those of you who have not done this before, is not to think about it. Whatever pops in your mind, that's the next word. And so this is an improv exercise. And for those of you that have done improv, there's a couple rules about improv. The first is you always accept what is given to you. So go with whatever the sentence is by the time it gets to you. And you build on it. You just add your own. And it'll be okay. Because everything in improv is okay. There are no mistakes in improv. Got it? Okay. This is going to be fine. This is going to be fun. No, it's all good. It's all good. We're creating a story together. Can we get a little love for this group here? Yeah, it's going to be okay. Deep breath. Once upon a time.
There was an ice cream store.
One word. That's okay.
Ice cream.
We can start with an ice cream store.
Rapunzel.
Chocolate.
We're making a
Berries.
sentence. So, Rapunzel.
Drove.
Her chariot,
Across.
a wide plain,
And onto a river.
Sunday.
Snowflake.
To the store. Store.
And she was very confused.
She didn't know where to go.
Home.
You can pass. Passing is okay. Oh, she said home. Sorry. Okay, you said home. Got it.
Today.
With butterflies.
oh, but she could not fly on the butterfly's wings.
So she had an idea.
She was going to charter a jet.
To Scotland.
Home.
Paris.
On a seaplane.
And she traveled the world. That was a mess. Hooray! Thank you all. I appreciate it. You can sit down now. And now, for those of you who are, those of our children who want to join in an activity with A. where she's going to be doing lots of fun stuff around mistakes and messiness, please join her now. And as she's going out with any of the children that are here, let us sing This Little Light of Mine.
This is not improv. Please join me in saying the words that remind us why oh, that's the wrong one. This is improv. I didn't even know I was participating. Please join me. It's here. Every Sunday, we make time to receive an offering, large and small financial gifts that help to support our mission, our staff, and our programming. As the plate is passed to you this morning, please give as you are able. I happened upon the words in our hymnal that seemed uncannily appropriate to this time in our congregational life. Open your eyes to see that life abounds. Open hearts to welcome it among us. The light of love here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. And now won't you join me in dedicating this offering with the words that are printed in your program or on the screen. We dedicate these gifts in the service of our mission to welcome all into a home of spiritual diversity that challenges us to become our best selves, to minister to one another in love, and to serve the greater community.
Many of you know I moved recently, and one of the joys of moving is finding things that have been squirreled away. And so I found something when I was moving that I thought I would share with all of you here today. This is something that reveals a little something about me. This is my space camp uniform. I was 14 and I went to space camp. It's scary that this might actually still fit me. But when I was 14, I was convinced that I was going to be a scientist. And as a kid who grew up in the glory days of the NASA shuttle program, going to space camp was amazing. A whole week with other science geeks doing space shuttle simulations and learning about outer space. Like, what more could you want? So I love that I've kept this, because how can you throw this away? As a reminder of that time, I mean, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a scientist or maybe a doctor. So when I went off freshman year in college, I declared my major a dual major, biomedical engineering and pre-med, which is why I graduated with a film degree, which is why I then worked for 20 years in corporate human resources at a bank, which is how I became your minister. The funny thing is, I was always taught that resumes have a few things that you absolutely can't, if you have them on your resume, it's gonna kill your career. Don't have any gaps. Don't have tons of little jobs for short periods of time over and over again. And don't look like you have jobs that are just all over the map and you don't know what you want to do with your life. Now, this is really a myth in many ways. I mean, first off, many of those things come with people of privilege, right? There's reasons why people have gaps in their resumes. There's reasons why people have a bunch of short jobs. But nevertheless, people judge resumes based on these things. And there's reasons why people move around like they do. And part of the harm in thinking that there needs to be this clear trajectory is that we miss the messiness that is really all about life and is all about living. I used to be kind of ashamed by this meandering path, because for a long time I was convinced that some of these careers that I took that failed and then I took a shift meant that I was unsuccessful, meant that I wasn't good at those things. And then I realized it was not that simple, because I took the curiosity and the rigor of science into my filmmaking work. I took the collaborative nature of filmmaking into my career in human resources. I took the need to work with diverse people from all around the world and cultures. I brought that with me into ministry. And more, there's more crossovers that I can see. And in reality, I love what I do. I love being a minister. I truly have a calling to do it, but I can't imagine ever discovering my calling without this winding path that I took. Each one of those contributed to not only the person that I am, but the minister that I am, the learning that I had to get to where I am. So today, in celebrating messiness, in celebrating the unexpected, in celebrating the twists and turns, I want to embrace that, right? We want to embrace that for all of our lives. So may we, no matter what path you take individually and collectively, may we embrace the messiness of life. May we celebrate the unexpected. May we find gift in those times when we miss the mark. And may our mistakes be blessings. So may we grow, and so may each of us become more human. I'm going to shift to our time of sharing joys and sorrows. We do this each week as a community, as a way of caring for each other. And I'm going to do this, as I always do, starting with the joys and sorrows that have been submitted by those of you present here. And then I will read out loud the joys and sorrows from those that are online. So if you're online, I invite you now to type into the chat any joys or sorrows you may be holding in your heart today. And then I'll come back to this room and ask you to share out loud the name of anybody else you're holding in your heart. And then we'll enter into a moment of silence followed by a prayer and a hymn. So let us settle ourselves. Find that place of groundedness, maybe in your breath, maybe the feeling of your body touching your seat, your feet flat on the floor. Become present to those around you, to the sounds, each other shuffling, of breathing, of crying babies. This is the beauty of human community. Let us enter into that space for a moment of holy listening as we share together our joys and sorrows of this community for today, Sunday, March 5th, 2023. All of these joys and all of these sorrows, both spoken and unspoken, may we hold them together in love as we enter into a moment of silence. Spirit of life, you hand us so many twists and turns, unexpected events, surprises. There's so much joy to be found in this, and also challenges. Joy in new life, in new relationships, in new beginnings, in new homes, in new starts, in milestones. In challenge and sorrow and heartache, in sickness, in the loss of loved ones, in endings, in moving away. May we know that all this, the ups and downs, are part of our living, and may we know that some of the joy comes from journeying together, holding each other up and holding each other together as we move through these ups and downs. May we not forget this necessary part of living, this connection with each other, this support and compassion and love of each other as we move about our days. Blessed be. Amen. I invite you to remain seated for our next hymn, which is Return Again. It's in our teal hymnal, but it's also going to be up here on the screen. There's two sections to it. We're going to sing through the first section twice, the second section twice, and do the first section twice again. So the lyrics will be up here on the screen that way, but just in case you're following along.
Today's reading comes from the UUA Worship Web. It is a blessing for losers, risk takers, all failures far and wide. I found myself in here several times, and perhaps you will too. A Blessing for Risk Takers and Failures by Reverend Robin Tanner. Blessed are they who fall in the mud, who jump with gusto and rip the pants, who skin the elbows and bruise the ego, for they shall know the sweetness of risk. Blessed are they who make giant mistakes, whose intentions are good but impact has injured, who know the hot sense of regret and ask for mercy. For their hearts will know the gift of forgiveness. Blessed are they who have seen a D or an F or a C or any letter less than perfect, who are painfully familiar with the red pen and the labels less than, for they know the wisdom in the imperfect. Blessed are they who try again, who dust off, who wash up, who extend the wish for peace, who return to the sites of failure, who are dogged in their pursuit. For they will discover the secret to dreams. Blessed are they who refuse to listen to the naysayers, for their hearts will be houses for hope. Blessed are they who see beyond the surface of another, for they will be able to delight in the gift of compassion. Blessed are they who stop running the race in order to help a fellow traveler, who pick up the fallen, who stop for injured life, for they shall know the kindness of strangers. Blessed are they who wildly, boldly abandon winning, for they shall know the path of justice.
So I need your help again. We're going to do something collectively together, something really hard. We're going to count to 20. Here's how it's going to work. I'm going to shout out 1, and then one of you, we don't even know who, is going to shout 2. And then one of you, we don't even know who, is going to shout 3. And so on and so forth until we get to 20. But here's the catch. If more than one person shouts out a number at the same time, we go back to 1. And our goal is to get to 20. How many people think we can do this? I saw a couple raising hands, but Jeff's like, no, we're never going to make it to 20. All right, are you ready? All right, I've seen a lot of positive attitude over this. So be sure to shout so we can hear. 1. One person at a time. Ready? Start again. You know, one of the ways we can celebrate this, actually, I'm thinking, if we get to 20, we'll go, yay, we got to 20. But more likely, I'm going to go with Jeff a little bit on this one. We're going to be going, hooray, we failed. So if we mess up again, let's do that together. Hooray, we failed. Okay. No cheating. No, can't assign people. The spontaneous. We're enjoying the spontaneity of this service today. The engineer trying to engineer us. All right, we're going to do it again. We've got time. The other church doesn't come in until 1:30. All right, exactly. Are we going to do it again? 1. Oh, hooray! We failed! We got to 3 this time, though. 1. Oh, hooray! We failed! All right, we can try a couple more times because I think we can do it. 1. gonna do one more time? All right, you all want to get to 20. Okay, here we go again. We can go for a long time on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, hooray! We failed! It did get better over time, right? You know, together, the point of this exercise is to remind ourselves that together we can achieve great things, but they're hard. It's hard to do things together, right? But we do things collaboratively because it brings power, it brings connection, it brings strength. There is more that we can achieve. And we do things together because we want to make big changes in the world that are necessary, right? And sometimes those are changing the world, and sometimes those are just doing things together because of the beauty of it and because of the meaning behind it, right? Each week, we come together as a congregation and practice this collaborative effort that is worship. Some of you may think it's all just the minister or the lay leaders up here, but this involves all of you in all of its messiness, right? Technology misbehaves, microphones go out, instruments fall out of tune, participants get sick, people walk in through the door, people move around, people make noises, worship leaders lose their place, the minister loses her place all the time but doesn't tell you and you don't know about it. But still, we come together and we practice this sloppy, messy thing we call worship because it has meaning to us. And because it means so much more than when we do it together. Because we couldn't do this. I mean, you could go home and do it by yourself. We did some of it together on Zoom during the pandemic, but it's not the same. It's not the same as coming together. And we do hard things together, but it is hard. We can't even count to 20 together as a group. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. And this is why that so many of us, I think, in this culture have a tendency to say, well, I can just do it myself, right? It's easier if I do it myself. It's going to come out better. Because, you know, not all of us have the time to practice every Sunday counting to 20, or we're not, you know, a sports team that's practicing all the time, or a dance troupe, or a choir, or an orchestra, or a theater company. Getting together with people takes time to work through things. And the other thing that works against us in collaboration is there's often a need to be perfect. There's a lot of pressure in our society on individuals, and specifically certain roles. There's a lot of pressure to be a perfect parent, to be a perfect spouse, to be a perfect employee. And that pressure is even more so for those of us that aren't given latitude to make mistakes, simply because of our gender or our skin color. And such pressure makes collaboration feel even riskier. So far, all these little exercise, this improv, and many of the things that I'm talking about are low-risk situations, right? We can laugh at them. But mistakes are risky, of course, because they have repercussions, especially big mistakes. The bigger the risk, the bigger the potential mistake, the bigger the risk, right? It's all about risk. And there's all these risks we take in our life where we have an opportunity to just mess up. Getting married, getting a divorce, becoming a parent, changing jobs, moving, speaking out against injustices. These are all high-risk situations because the potential to make mistakes is huge. But they're also important activities to undertake because they have meaning and they lead to happy and healthy lives and communities. We take risks together, and it feels dangerous, but we do it because we need to do it, because we're speaking out against an injustice, or we're making a change in our lives and the world. And the more people that we involve, the more potential we have to make these mistakes. And think of the big things that we've done in this congregation. We speak out against injustices all the time. That's risky. Putting up flags, speaking out about our values in a world where there's more division, there's risk in that. And as a congregation, we make risky decisions together. Look what we just did yesterday and in December. There's a lot of risk in these decisions that we've made, but we're doing it together and we're journeying it together because we have faith in our future. Because if we don't collaborate or work together, something's going to change, but we might not know what it is. And while we go through all these things in our life, while we may want them to be perfect, it's never going to be perfect. I remember exactly 4 years ago this month, I was contacted by the then ministerial search team here at CUC. A couple of you are here today. I see Jeff, Susan is here. Who else from the search team is here today? Brooke is here today. There are a few others who aren't here. And they contacted me and they said, we want you to be our next candidate for minister. And then they said, but we have a little bit of anxiety about this. We've never had a minister quite like you, so we don't know how to go about introducing you to the congregation. Do you all remember this conversation? Jeff is nodding, yeah. We don't, and do you remember what I said? I said to you all, you've gone through this search process, and the people in this congregation who've been following along, they've imagined what their minister might look like. You know, some may have a strong sense of that, and some may be a vague sense. And I said, but I guarantee you, to the person, no matter what people were imagining, they were not imagining me. So it doesn't matter. We'll just introduce me, and we'll get to know each other, and our journey will just unfold together. And so that's what we did. We just moved through that with grace and with love. Because there was no way to avoid mistakes in such a situation. And avoiding mistakes and avoiding risks in life is not an option. So that only leaves us with one choice, and that's to accept mistakes. To at times, like we just did in our counting exercise, when we mess up, just go, hooray, we failed! Maybe we don't feel like doing that all the time, especially if these mistakes are big, but we can still approach them with grace. I'm not suggesting here that we throw all caution to the wind and not focus our intention on being the best we can be, but I'm suggesting that especially when the risks are high, we need to accept that mistakes are inevitable, and beating each other up or beating ourselves up is only going to cause more harm. Instead, we can say, all right, we knew this might happen. Where do we go now? What do we do next? And we carry on. That is a form of resilience that takes trust in ourselves, trust in each other, and trust in the future that we are creating together. And that takes faith that we're going to end up where we need to be, even if that place isn't quite what we managed, what we expected, right? Faith that we're going to end up where we need to be, even if it's not exactly what we expected. So the point of all this today is that the ongoing project of life, and especially congregational life, it requires collaboration by its very nature. And what we do each week, year to year, is harder than counting 20, honestly. Ask anybody who gets involved in helping navigate this ship of a congregation, right? And certainly we're at a time of our move and other challenges and other changes that we want to make in order to have a sustainable future. So collaboration is definitely going to be necessary, and it's going to be a lot harder than counting to 20 or just doing worship every week, right? So we're in a similar moment to that moment when the search team contacted me back in March of 2019 and said, we don't know how to do this. We're at a similar moment. Now we have a little bit more concrete. We know where we're headed. We're headed up Forest Avenue to Westwood, but we're still not quite sure. There's a lot of details we don't know. We're just picking a direction. We've introduced a new building and property, and this is unlike anything we've ever faced before as a congregation. Some similarities in the move from Hackensack, but this is still new. It's messy. We're going to make mistakes, but we'll figure it out. If we can just focus our intention during this move and the subsequent years on making this the best spiritual home we can for ourselves, for each other, for those who are yet to come through our door. And if we recognize that mistakes are going to happen in this process, and when we do, instead of beating ourselves up, we say, "Hooray, we failed," and then we just pick ourselves up and we say, "What is next?" And so that's the message today, to recognize those mistakes and failures, and to know that with sustained effort, with love, with grace, with trust, and with faith, we will end up where we need to be as individuals and as a congregation. And so for all this that is our life and all the messiness of it, let's join together in singing our closing hymn, "For All That Is Our Life." It is going to be up here on your screen.
And now, as we extinguish our chalice, let us renew our promise to each other, using the words printed in the order of service and on the screen, reminding ourselves what a strong congregation we are and can be when we keep this promise. We extinguish this chalice flame, but not our promise to each other, to act with grace, to hold each other in love, to serve this community and our world. This promise of the heart serves as a reminder of how we live together. May it bring joy to our collective lives.
And so, we shape our future together. We are bound to run into unexpected twists and turns and dips along the journey. May we not strive for perfection, but instead for love and grace, in always striving to be the best we can be for each other and our world. Blessed be, and amen. Thank you, Matt, for your music this morning. Thank you, Susan, for acting as worship associate. Thank you, Phil, for all the tech in the back. Thank you all for being here. And I specifically want to thank Matthias and Cypher for coming. We haven't had a babies in this sanctuary. Now we have 2. So yay for baby sounds during worship. I've missed it. So enjoy coffee hours here. I'll be hosting tea in my office in a little bit. Please stay for connection.